Welcome to the January the 5th, 1999 taping of It Happened in Grand Prairie. As we bring you the history of our city and some of the people that were very important in making history, and possibly some that are going to be doing forecasting for the wonderful new year of 1999. We're very honored today to have with us our city manager, Mr. Gary Gwynn, and we'd like to welcome you to the set, Mr. Gwynn.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. I'm glad to be here.
And starting off our new year with history tape number 356. That's a lot of history that's gone by the wayside, but you've made a lot of history this year, and we're going to get back with you in just a few minutes and talk about this last year, particularly in sort of an exit interview, with your permission. Okay.
Very well.
All right. The Honorable Mayor Charles England. We're so glad to have you on the set with us today.
It's a thrill for me to get to come to your show.
Yeah, it's always wonderful because you're so exuberant about the city of Grand Prairie, Texas, and we know why. And we're going to talk with you about maybe some of the things that are going to be exciting for Grand Prairie during this year of 1999, even without our illustrious, wonderful city manager. Is that going to fit into your scheme of things?
That's going to be a challenge, as you know. We're going to miss him, and Gary's done most of the work the last few years, and I've taken most of the credit, and so he's going to be tough to fill his position. But
well, before we start with Mr. Gwynn, what is it like to be the mayor of such a wonderful city, knowing that all of these things, that you have pots boiling all of the time, and now with this wonderful young man not at your warm side and not at the helm? Do you feel a little bit apprehensive, or is the real Charles England, the gopher, all of this good background that you have in insurance going to come forward now?
Well, Ruthie, I wake up during the middle of the night thinking about Gary leaving and trying to fill his position. It's going to be, as I said earlier, it's going to be a tough job to fill. Gary seems like got a lot of great qualities. I think one of the best is he's able to bring out the best in his staff, and they've done such a good job. And as I said, myself along with the council's got most of the credit. But a city manager is a tough job. I've learned a lot about city government in the past few years, and know that's a tough job. Gary, I know I wasn't on the council that hired Gary, but I know you were, and 7 years ago when Gary came in, this city, I'm not sure, had any real true direction exactly how we wanted to go or how we wanted to get there. We just knew where we wanted to go. We didn't know maybe the roadmap wasn't exactly there. Gary has done such a great job getting us on track and laying out a plan for the city, and it's followed through with it. And as you know, we've become a major player in the Metroplex, recognized by all the cities as somebody a city to reckon with, and most of that's because of Gary and his staff, and so we're gonna miss him. But thank goodness he's going to, I think, leaving the city where we've got a roadmap now. We know we're pointed in the right direction, so it's going to be easier for the guy coming in, I think, than it was for Gary. But we're going to hang in there, and we're going to use. He's leaving a good staff behind, and I feel like the city's going to be in great shape. We've got a lot of big plans, and I don't see any reason why we shouldn't complete them.
Now, you could change your mind. Now would be the good time to ask for a raise and get to stay, Mr. Gwynn. But we know that you have set your sights on something exciting. So I'd like for you to look out into your camera and tell us about the real Gary Gwynn that had a hard decision to make, and tell us where you're going to get to go. And then we want to come back and we want to feed you a few questions about what has happened this last year that are really near and dear to your heart, that you're glad that you could leave a track in Grand Prairie, Texas.
Well, thank you, Ms. Jackson. It really wasn't an easy decision at all. Grand Prairie has been very good to me, and I've been very excited about a lot of the things that we've done during the time that I've had the opportunity to work with the council and with the staff. I'm going to be going to the Brazos River Authority, which is headquartered in Waco. The Brazos River Authority is the biggest river authority in the United States. It runs, the Brazos River in Texas runs from the New Mexico border up northwest of Lubbock all the way down to Freeport. And the river basin itself is actually larger than the state of Tennessee. So it's a huge operation. The BRA actually owns 4 lakes, including Possum Kingdom and Lake Granbury and a couple of others. But it operates, in addition to those 4 lakes, 9 others, including Lake Whitney, where the mayor has a lake house, and Aquila and Stillhouse Hollow and several more. It operates 4 regional wastewater treatment plants. It operates several water supply plants. It even has 1 desalinization plant down the coast where they extract salt from the water to purify it so it can be used domestically. It's a very large operation. It's a very different sort of operation. It's governed by a board of 21 people who are appointed by the governor. And those people come, as you would expect, from all up and down the river basin. They are not from one specific area. They have a huge responsibility. They supply water to probably 20% of Texas. Cities of Lubbock and Abilene and Waco and Temple, Belton, Bryan, College Station are all customer cities of the Brazos River Authority. So I'm going to be in a little different area of public management than a city manager. My scope will be narrower. I will be concerned with water supply, wastewater treatment, maintaining the quality of the water in the Brazos River, instead of having all of the various operations that the city has to include parks and now that's not to say BRA does operate some parks like the Trinity River Authority does here, but not on the scale that a city does, and certainly the river authorities don't have police departments and fire departments and so forth. But there's a large number of problems and projects and challenges. It's just going to be in sort of a different context, and I'm excited about it and looking forward to it. I've had a long-term interest in the Brazos River. When I was a kid, we used to take canoe trips down the river, and I first got interested in it there, and this opportunity came along, and I certainly wasn't looking for something, but it presented itself, and I was one of about 70 applicants, and it worked out that
You were number 1.
at least I was the one that chose. So here I am.
And Miss Pat, your wonderful wife, is she going to pull up stakes from her work and follow you along to Waco, Texas?
Well, she better.
You're counting on it?
I sure am. And she's getting excited about it. We spent last weekend down there looking for a house, and we've got our house here in Grand Prairie on the market. If anybody's interested in a nice place, we got a really good deal for you.
Good looking location, right?
We are excited about the change and not looking forward particularly to all the hassle that goes on with the move, but we can handle that. So.
All right, let's talk about the city of Grand Prairie, Texas. When you came here 7 years ago, and
okay, well, I think my first impression when I came to Grand Prairie was that it was a place with tremendous potential, an area that had not developed like its neighboring cities had, but had every reason to grow and prosper and do well with some changes in some attitudes primarily. And one of the first changes that needed to take place was on the part of the city staff and the community in general in believing in Grand Prairie and believing that the community could compete with the other cities in the Metroplex and in the state of Texas. And as you know, Ms. Jackson, because you were one of the people that was on the council that hired me, I'd been here about 2 weeks, and we had a retreat out at Garrett Creek Ranch, and we had an executive session, and the council told me that one of the things they were interested in and wanted to look at was a horse racetrack.
And you didn't faint.
I didn't faint, but I came close because I didn't know anything about horse racing or racetracks and very little about horses as far as that was concerned. But I think that was a wonderful project for the community, and I'm not much of a horse racing fan. I enjoy going out to Lone Star Park and watching them run and so forth, but that's not something that I'm really personally into. But I think that project has been a wonderful thing for Grand Prairie. And I know there were a lot of people on both sides of the fence that had strong feelings about it. But I think because it was done so well, and it is such a beautiful place, and it has been so successful financially, it's something that's really pulled the community together. And I think probably more than anything else, and I certainly am not, I need to make that clear that I'm not taking credit for that. I was involved in it and I worked on it and so forth, but so were a lot of other folks. But I think that when that happened, when we got the license approved in Grand Prairie, and then and as the mayor knows, after a long, hard struggle, we got through all the lawsuits, got the financing lined up, and got it built. I think that I sense a real pride in the community among all the folks that Grand Prairie did that and has that facility out there, gets national recognition every day during the racing season, and it's really a positive thing for this community. And that was the first thing. When that happened, you could just sort of see the shock wave going through the Metroplex in the state of Texas. And those folks were saying, wow, those people in Grand Prairie can really play in this game. And then there's been a whole multitude of things that have happened since then. The Siemens plant that employs about 400 people, the General Electric Appliance Center. The mayor and I sat in a conference room one day at City Hall and made a deal with one of the GE vice presidents, and he was kind of overwhelmed that it wasn't going to take him 6 or 8 months to negotiate through all of this stuff, and we just made the deal, and that was one that was particularly satisfying to me, and I know to Charlie, and the Baxter Healthcare, which is now the Allegiance Healthcare, was another project that was really important to us because we were competing head-to-head with Alliance Airport and Ross Perot Jr. And they've got lots of ability, as we know from our conversations with them about the arena. They're very capable, competent people. They do their homework. And Lolo Grand Prairie competed with them and won in those 2 cases. Yes. And that those things just build and build. And there have been lots of economic development things to come through, and it's a whole series of things. It's having a mayor like Charlie that is so articulate and so gung-ho about Grand Prairie, and is I've told a lot of people, now you better watch out because Charlie can sell ice to Eskimos, and he really can. And when we get in those closed door meetings with developers, they understand that he's serious about making things better for Grand Prairie and presenting an attractive city to them. And that's really what it takes. Businesses located in an area for a lot of reasons, but one of the primary reasons is they go where they're wanted and where they're made to feel comfortable. And nobody makes them feel any more wanted or any more comfortable than Charlie England does. And we've got a great staff. Have put together a great staff. When I first came here, we had a one-person economic development sort of thing, but it really wasn't a program that was going anywhere. And Charlie and I worked with the Chamber of Commerce and came up with the idea of really creating an economic development department. And Boy, it has, Diana Miller, our Economic Development Director, told me last night that her staff has been doing some work on the numbers, and over the past 7 years, we've brought in over $1 billion worth of new businesses to Grand Prairie, and that's, and as Charlie has preached so often, and maybe preaches too strong, no, preaches what he's done. Those businesses mean lower taxes for our citizens. I mean, doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be an immediate tax cut, but the revenue they bring in does mean that we don't have to raise taxes. And in fact, the last couple of years, we've been able to hold our own. And year before last, we actually cut taxes. So they're making a real difference. And certainly the retail developments that have come in, and that's just really beginning. I-20 immediately, and hopefully we're going to see more and more retail development along I-30 also, but those things are making a lot of difference to this community in terms of availability and access for Grand Prairie citizens to have places to shop without having to drive to Arlington or Irving or somewhere else. That's a really positive thing, and something that I know all of us feel good about that's happening. But as I said, that's just beginning. Within the next year or two, I think the community's going to see a tremendous amount of retail and restaurant expansion, which makes it a better place to live.
And we're proud of it. Every Grand Prairian now, I think, has a better image not only of themselves as living in a city, but of the city of Grand Prairie, Texas. Don't you feel that this is true?
I really do. I think that people hold their heads high now and say, I'm from Grand Prairie, and I'm proud to be from Grand Prairie.
And we had a city manager that was the president of the International City Managers Association. That was a wonderful opportunity for you, but it was also a real great, we got a lot of the shock waves back from that because you brought Grand Prairie into the international world. What do you feel about that in about 2 minutes?
Well, I feel good about it. I had the opportunity to meet a lot of wonderful people all over the world, and they know where Grand Prairie, Texas is, I guarantee you.
That is true.
But, they start off and say, now, is that out in West Texas somewhere? And Pat and I really cleared the air real quick and told them exactly where it was, and that we had these two suburbs, Dallas and Fort Worth, and we were right in the middle of all that.
Painted a good picture of Grand Prairie, Texas.
We did our very best, yes, ma'am.
That's wonderful. Well, you've had a marvelous tenure as far as some of us that are more closely associated with you that have worked with the council and with the city, but I'd like to hear back from our mayor again now. Mayor, having worked with this young man and knowing all of the things that you know now, if you had been on the team to hire him, would you hire him again?
You bet. You bet I would. We've been real fortunate to have Gary and Pat, and like I say, things are going well now, and we're going to go out and find somebody that's going to carry the torch, continue the torch carrying. But Gary's got it started, and I think it's going to be so much easier for the next city manager than it was for Gary. And he's. I think we've got a great council right now that nobody has a personal agenda. That's so refreshing. I know to Gary and to me and to you. I mean, we've been on both sides of the fence, and but things are going well. I was talking to Mayor Odom from Arlington yesterday, and it's amazing, not only among ourselves that we feel good, but how the rest of the Metroplex feels about us. I talked to Melbourne Gravely, the mayor in Carrollton this morning, to LZ Odom yesterday, and they recognize that Grand Prairie is on a roll, and that feels good. You know, when Gary and I came in right after he did, and we knew we had a problem with image. But we found that we really started looking into that, and our biggest problem was self-image. I mean, our image among the Metroplex wasn't the best, but our self-image was bad. And I see just a total turnaround on that. I think most people feel good about Grand Prairie, and I know that the rest of the Metroplex recognizes us as as being a town on the move. Great things have happened, and even greater things are going to happen this next year. So it's a great time to be mayor, and as I've said, I've been blessed since I've been mayor with a lot of good things, and this town is on a roll, and I see it staying that way.
Would you like to comment on maybe some of the things that you're going to forecast? And I know that these are positive things. You have a wonderful budget already laid out for you. You have 161 that has cleared the deck, so to speak. You also have Texas Showplace coming in. Would you comment on some of those
you
things?
bet. I'd love to.
How are you going to handle those without Gary?
The 161. Well, we're just going to go from Gary to a strong mayor form of government like they have in Houston and Chicago, and just go right on down the road.
Ward politics. You better watch
maybe some
this.
ward politics, but no, 161. There were so many good things have happened since Gary's been. He worked so hard on 161 in the track and development around I-20, and those. I think hopefully they'll be beginning construction on the Showplace real soon. I think it's close to being financed, and I think everything else is ready. 161 still, they're working on some of the right-of-way now. There's still one or two legal problems there, but I think legally the ball's in our court now. I think it looks favorable for us. When Judge Sanders ruled for us favorably, there's some appeals going on, and we'll have to see how that plays out, but I feel good about that. Lake Ridge, there's so many good things happening out in the Lake Ridge area, some beautiful, beautiful homes under construction. The I-20 corridor is it just continues to get better and better. 3 new hotels. One's already opened on 360, 2 under construction. I think one about 400 rooms and one about 350 rooms. So I think that'll give us over 900 new hotel rooms on 360 that'll have opened in 12 months. They're upscale suite hotels. That brings people, and that brings new restaurants when you have those kinds of things. Some upscale multifamily in Westchester is going on now. That brings restaurants and those kinds of things. So the retail business with the Home Depot Center, Home Depot Target, has been so good for us. The sales tax is up. I just think we'll just have to really shoot ourselves in the foot to stop. I think the road we're on, and we're not going to do that. We're going.
I noticed that you're planning a park and ride down near Bluebonnet Lake, and also 1382 is coming along. You're clearing out the way so that we'll have access from the north to the south a little better, aren't you, Mayor?
That's right. And of course, we've gotten the clearance now for the overpass it'll go over Jefferson, over the railroad tracks, and over Main Street. What a improvement that's going to be for the 1382 traffic. And yes, and 1382 itself is well underway. The construction on the widening from I-20 to 303 is underway, and that'll be complete. I know it seems like it's been under construction for years, but maybe about another 6-12 months that's going to be finished. And we've got a new fire station that's about to be started out in Westchester that those folks have been waiting patiently for. That's being funded 100% by excess revenue from the racetrack, revenue over and above the sales tax. We've bought a beautiful piece of land there for the fire station and eventually a police substation. The Ruthie Jackson Center is about to relocate to a new facility at Warrior and Carrier Parkway, and I'm excited about that. What a great location for a community center. There's some real good possibilities for some new construction downtown. I feel real positive that's going to happen, and so there's just so much.
How about Navy Dallas?
Going on. Navy Dallas, that looks like there's some activity out there. I understand Mayor Kirk and his council have finally recognized that that's in their city, and I'm grateful for that. And it should be Grand Prairie. That's right. They came out in the middle of the night 40 years ago and took from Grand Prairie what was ours, but that's another story.
That's another story.
But no, I'm glad Dallas has finally got something in there, and looks like it's going to be good for Grand Prairie. And so, gosh, I think
it's a wonderful forecast, Mayor.
It is. It's
looks like 99 is going to carry you right on over into that 2000 thing that everyone's worried about.
Well, I know Gary's leaving. I know he's got, what was it, Y2K? Y2K. Gary's got that. He better have that ready. We spent enough money on it in the last year or so to be ready. So, but
We're ready for that.
And if it doesn't work, we know where he's going to be. He's just right down I-35. I know where to find him. So.
Mr. Gwynn, we have a couple of minutes left. I want you to look out and just talk to Grand Prairie, Texas, to the citizens and to your staff and to anyone that you would like to give a kudo, and especially to the mayor for being such a good cohort with you as you've done this years.
Well, Charlie and I have certainly been good partners, and we've had a very positive and real relationship. It's one of those kinds of relationships that you get into with real friends, where you can disagree without being disagreeable. And Charlie and I certainly have not agreed on everything that's come along, but we've both of us have tried to keep the best interest of Grand Prairie in mind and move forward, and I think we've done that. And I certainly do want to thank all the people in Grand Prairie that have been so kind to Pat and I. I want to thank the council and particularly this council that is very positive and very supportive and very businesslike and really, in my opinion, cast a great image for the city of Grand Prairie. And last, but certainly not least, I want to thank all of the employees of the city of Grand Prairie for their hard work and their dedication and their commitment to making Grand Prairie a better place to live and to do business in. One of the things that I'm really the proudest of is about 1.5 years ago, the mayor and I and about 3 or 4 other employees got to go to Washington and received a presentation from Vice President Gore for having the best public service program in the country. And that's a program that's built around quality customer service and continuing to evaluate the operation and to make it better. And that program was put together and done by city employees, and they've made the city of Grand Prairie a really quality place.
That's wonderful. We have 1 minute left, and Mayor, we'll always let you have the last word. If there's anything you want to say in 1 minute, you're going to wrap up this area with your permission.
Thank you, Ruthie. You know, Gary, we'll miss you, you and Pat, and you've done so much for this city, and I could go on, and I don't want to pump him up too much. He'll be wanting to leave early.
Yes.
He's got to stay till the 31st, but we'll always be grateful for what you've done for this city and getting us back where we should have been for a long, long time. I can say to the people of Grand Prairie, you know, keep your head up high. I mean, things I don't think have ever been better in our city for economic development, for growth. We're not perfect. We're not where we want to be. Sure don't mean to imply that. There's still a lot of work to be done, but I think this council and the staff recognize that, and we're not going to let up. But we've done a lot to be proud of. Hold your head high. Thank you, Ruthie, for inviting me. It's been fun to be here. Gary, thank you.
Yes.
And this is Ruthie Jackson reminding you that history is as we live and do.